Hello and welcome to an emergency podcast episode of Pinfalls and Passports. I am Daddy Dom and I am joined by Dorkchop and Katie. Guys, we have got some news breaking on social media and just confirmed apparently by PW Insider. WrestleMania 2027 is taking place reportedly in Saudi Arabia. Guys, what do we think to this breaking news? And what's the reaction? Do we think this is real?
I think it's real.
It certainly looks that way, guys. So the report coming out is that there was a press release released earlier on today in Arabic that WrestleMania 43 will be held in Saudi Arabia in 2027. It was yanked. Apparently, it was pulled, according to PW Insider, shortly after it was sent out. But it was apparently supposed to be scheduled and publicly issued. PW Insider has now confirmed it is a 100% legitimate story. An announcement will be coming very soon. This is going to mean that the first international location outside of North America, for the first time, WrestleMania will be taking place in Saudi Arabia. What a huge announcement if this turns out to be true, guys. Let me ask you off the bat, is this something you guys are planning on attending?
No.
Hard no.
Gee, wonder why.
Costs aside, right? I mean, Vegas was a pretty penny for myself. You know, I'm Canadian, so our dollar is not so great. Going to Saudi Arabia, not only is it going to be a pretty long flight, but also a very expensive trip. And this is also coming off of the heels of Ben Shapiro. The report Ben Shapiro today saying that that WWE is not yet at the same level of ticket sales compared to UFC ticket sales with their profits. He made mention that there is still a large gap there simply because Vince McMahon targeted families for their ticket sales, right? And now with TKO, it's been a couple years, but they want to really close that margin. They really want to maximize that profit, and he did make mention that there is a lot of profit to be made. I just saw what ticket prices for Boston Raw is going to be, and I saw the cheapest price in the hundreds being at $297. That is insane for a family. So for two people, for a couple, to spend close to $600 just for a Raw. I don't know what a WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia would cost, but I mean the money is there, and it is there for the people there. I don't think it is there for us elsewhere in the world. It's oil money.
Yeah.
And all power to them. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised with this announcement. There has been multiple PLEs in Saudi Arabia. They have been making some really good money there, so it makes financial sense to host a WrestleMania. But is it a WrestleMania that I will personally attend? No. I will enjoy it from home at 1 p.m. on a Saturday and Sunday.
Well, obviously, this comes on the heels of Saudi Arabia hosting their first major PLE in 2026. We obviously know already that the Royal Rumble is heading there. This did seem like the natural next step for Saudi Arabia. Not sure we saw it coming as soon as 2027, but Turkey Al-Sheikh did drop the news on Snapchat earlier on today that, in fact, it is going to be in Saudi Arabia in 2027. For me, again, probably not something I'd be looking to attend for various reasons, but also at the same time, one, I don't necessarily need to attend. The great thing being a UK watcher of WWE is that when the events do take place in Saudi Arabia, they are on good time for us. So I don't have to be sat up until the early hours of the morning like I nearly am now. In fact, I was in bed until this breaking news just came out, and I thought we better jump on quick just to cover it, because I know our listeners will be mentioning and talking about this all on the Discord server at the moment. But what do you think? How do you imagine people will travel? Because we have this Discord server around traveling to WrestleMania. But when I see these events come up in Saudi Arabia, I'm not getting emails from On Location saying, come over to Riyadh and join. Do you think that a Saudi WrestleMania is going to be accessible to people outside of the Saudi bubble like a normal WrestleMania would be? Or do you think it will be a more sort of secluded thing for the Middle Eastern population?
So I am of the opinion that, yeah, it's going to be a very heavy Saudi crowd. Not as many international travelers for various reasons, and not the least of which would be the cost that Katie mentioned. And it just doesn't seem to me like anybody outside of that area is going to be attending WrestleMania 43.
With that being said, we do have a couple members within the server who are located in Australia, who are located in the Philippines, Singapore, those Asian countries that it is a lot more doable going to Saudi Arabia versus coming halfway across the world to North America. So It's quite possible that we might have a couple server members, but you're right, Dom. We don't typically see the on-location packages for the Saudi shows, and that could just simply be that Saudi Arabia wants the shows to be for them, and that's okay. That is all power to them. They do bring a great crowd. The crowd is hot.
It is now for sure.
Yeah, they're into it. I mean, I do love when it is in Europe. I think the first international Mania should have been somewhere in Europe, such as London. London has been very well deserving of a Mania, just simply because of how hot the crowd is and how deserving the fans are. But the money is there, and money talks. TKO is about money, so I get it. When it comes to dollars and cents, it makes sense.
Yeah. Build off of that, another international city like Mira and I discussed on the most recent episode, Paris.
That's right.
Paris, those French crowds bring the energy.
Yeah. And as you rightly say, Katie, there was that press release earlier from TKO talking about how WWE is behind UFC on ticket sales. We know that they had such a record-breaking WrestleMania in Vegas. They were going to go to New Orleans and then pulled the plug on that because they realized that they were not going to have another record-breaking WrestleMania there, and they moved it back to Vegas so they can break those records again. They don't want to see that trend end by the looks of things, and it makes sense that the only way they could do that is to move it to somewhere like Saudi Arabia, where they can ensure that they're, not only, I don't know how the ticket sales are going to work over there. I don't know how much what the pricing is going to be like, but the Turkey Al Sheikh is going to be putting up a pretty penny if it's the actual WrestleMania. Now, this is one spanner I might just throw in the works with you quickly. There's been we had this before, didn't we, when we thought they were getting the Royal Rumble originally, and what we got was the greatest Royal Rumble. It was a spin-off of a Royal Rumble event. Could potentially this WrestleMania be an additional WrestleMania, a Saudi-only WrestleMania, or do we think they're going full steam ahead with full-on 100% actual WrestleMania?
I think we're going full-on 100% with full-on WrestleMania, with a number in front of it. I've heard the rumors too about a super WrestleMania or a WrestleMania super show or whatever, like a second WrestleMania to be had. But I don't see them going this road. I think the Crown Prince was probably very insistent on it has to be an actual WrestleMania.
Yeah. So I'm just looking back through Takeout Shake's tweets. I'm going to pull this one from just over a month ago, August 6th, 2025. It was written in Arabic, so I've pressed translate, obviously. A huge entertainment event took place a while ago in 2027 AD. A big surprise I will announce soon. Your happiness is our goal. That was just over 4 weeks ago from Turkey himself. Looks like now he was hinting towards this WrestleMania. How quick do we think WWE will be to come out the blocks now and announce this officially?
I don't think quick. I mean, typically in WWE fashion, the what we're talking about 2 years from now, that's not going to be announced typically until probably after or even at WrestleMania 42, right? I see that the earliest I see them doing it is at Mania 42. However, typically we don't see these announcements until around this time, well, shortly before this time, next year. So we'll see. I think because of with the leaked press release, it's probably going to be jumped up, I'd say, by Christmas.
I have a suspicion we will see it sooner rather than later. I think we will probably see it depending on how quickly or how well, should I say, Las Vegas Mania tickets sell. I think they will announce it depending on that, because if there's a slow sort of start to seeing those tickets go up for Vegas, they're going to want to announce that Vegas isn't going to be back in America for at least another 2 years. And that's going to create that urgency for people to say, oh, you know what? I was thinking of going to Mania in 27, but now I'm going to have to go in 26. That's going to force people to go to sort of Vegas. They may even play a little bit dirty and hint with the fact that, you know, we might throw WrestleMania around the world for a few years and give America a few years off and really try and cash in on this Vegas Mania, which is obviously what they are trying to do. I can see that happening. What do you think, Dorkchop?
I think that they're probably going to announce sooner rather than later. Like, you know, with WrestleMania tickets, you know, to what you were talking about, it just occurred to me. WrestleMania tickets go on sale 2 weeks from today, as we record this.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah, so I figure they're probably going to announce that, you know, like along the lines of, you know, what you were saying. Like, I can see an announcement on Saudi-Mania happening as early as this Friday.
Well, we really want to hear your thoughts, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think about Saudi Arabia Mania. Have we got any final thoughts on Mania happening in Saudi Arabia 2027? Anything we want to leave this pod with on this breaking news show, guys?
I hope they enjoy. I know I'm going to enjoy a nice afternoon all weekend long, sometime in April, I'm assuming, of wrestling. I am looking forward to it, and I just want to know where it's going to be held, because typically the venues that the PLEs are being held in Saudi Arabia aren't that big, maybe 20,000. So I'm really curious to see how big they're going to go. But with that being said, Saudi Arabia is money. So I'm really excited to see how big they go with their show, with their production, with their stage. WrestleMania in Vegas had a pretty good stage, if I do say so myself. So I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be interesting, and it'll be a nice refresher that I don't have to worry right now about getting WrestleMania tickets for, you know, for then. But yeah, good for them. Yeah. I'm glad. It's not a surprise at the end of the day. Look at we knew this was coming, given the deal that they have, right? Yeah. So it was only just a matter of time. All power to them. Enjoy.
And I think the right time. You know, the Saudi Arabia crowds are night and day compared to what they were when they started doing those Saudi Arabia shows. You know, at first they felt very orchestrated, very flat, very sort of nobody knew what was going on. Now they are super loud, European-style crowds, clear fan base, know what they like, love their wrestling, super excited. So, yeah, absolutely. WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia will surely be an absolute spectacle if it's anything like some of the big boxing events they've done there over the last few years. Hell, they will build an entire new arena if they haven't got one big enough for this, and they've done that before for the big Tyson Fury fights. I've seen them do that. So yeah, my guess is Riyadh. That's center. That's where I think their WWE sort of museum is as well. I presume it's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I would imagine it's gonna take place. Any lasting thoughts from you, Dorkchop?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, we've been expecting this probably for about the better part of a few months, ever since we were in Vegas, and I think like I said, we're going to get an announcement sooner rather than later. As soon as the news goes official, because the news is already leaked. I figure you're going to get an announcement probably this Friday on SmackDown.
Fantastic. Well, we will look forward to seeing what happens. Thank you for joining us on this emergency podcast of Pinfalls and Passports. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Pinfalls and Passports. Follow us on wherever you find your podcast. Follow us on YouTube. Take a look at our Pinfalls and Passports channel. I know we've just released a show. We're going to come out straight away with this bonus show, and we will speak to you guys all next week. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Chat later. Love you guys.
See you later.
Take care.